More and more people are lying on home loan applications in a desperate bid to break into the property market. Financial technology company Fortero says since interest rates began rising a year and a half ago, there's been a threefold increase in fraudulent applications. Let's bring in finance expert Chris Foster Ramsay. Hello, Chris. A worrying sign that prospective home buyers are going to these extremes.
Yeah, it's certainly problematic, and it's certainly something I think is probably right in what the research is presenting. It's certainly problematic for someone to be doing that, to feel they have to go to the lengths of that.
What can you do to get a loan without this level of desperation?
Well, I think the old adage of just making sure that you are being very truthful with what you're saying and what you're telling your broker, your lender, or your bank. Just because everything's so interconnected, particularly between government databases and bank databases, the chance of being found out and that being problematic down in the future for that borrower to be able to re-borrow or borrow again or even get a credit card can be quite particularly problematic if they get busted for questionable conduct.
There are reports Commonwealth Bank is quietly slashing mortgage rates to undercut the other big three. Is it important to shop around? And how do you do it, Chris?
Yeah, sure. So it's really important to shop around and speak to your existing lender and ask them potentially if there's a better rate or better deal that you can be on because you've been so diligent in your repayment history. Certainly CBA and others, it's not just them, but there are others that are very, very keen to retain your business at this time and will pretty much do anything they can to make sure that they keep you as a borrower.
There are differing opinions on what interest rates will do this year. What do you predict?
Well, I'm not an economist, but I do follow it quite closely, and I do tend to agree with others in the industry and economics sector that I think that if things continue to go the way they are, that there is a real argument to cut those rates towards the end of this year.
We'll go to viewer comments, Chris. Suzanne Boardman writes, banks can check all your financials, so lying will get you nowhere. How do lenders vet applications? What do the stress tests include?
Yeah, so the stress tests and vetting are two different things, but very briefly, the stress test is assessing your ability to repay the loan amount over and above what it is normally that you would, or the repayment that's scheduled for the application. And secondly, in terms of income verification, there are a number of, as I say, interconnected systems between government and industry that will verify and calculate incomes and identities.
Fiona Lee Robinson says people have been lying on loans for decades. It's nothing new. No, it's not, but as we said earlier, there's been a threefold increase in fraudulent applications over the past 18 months. What are the consequences of lying on a mortgage application?
Look, I'll be pretty blunt and pretty clear here. It may mean that you may not be able to borrow for, as I say, a credit card, let alone a home loan, ever again. You are highly likely to be found out and highly likely to receive a blemish internally within that bank, which is shared with all banks, and would make very, very problematic to be able to borrow again.
This next question is about more like lying to a landlord. Dan Horton writes, lived in a rental for 6 years with a 70-kilogram mastiff, had him at my parents' every inspection. They had no idea. Now, what this illustrates is that many are taking drastic measures to get into or even just stay in property. What are the most common lies on home loan applications?
Oh, look, the ones that we hear of the most are income, questionable income, so short-term income with a second job or something similar to that effect. We also hear of dependents being left off applications so that disposable income can be increased. But they're probably the two main ones that are well known in my industry and that are problematic.
Matt Islands writes, wait till your ex leaves you. Chris, what advice do you have for singles applying for a home loan or taking over a mortgage?
Look, I'd be getting in touch with a professional pretty quickly. We are all trained, or we should all be trained, in how to handle those situations of of a relationship breakdown, whether it be a partner or spouse or something else. And we all should know, as an industry, should know and should have the training to be able to deal with that. But it's something that I certainly don't recommend you handle by yourself. It can be very emotionally stressful, as we all know, and the finance stress on top of that can compound. So I would be reaching out to someone in a professional circumstance in the lending field that can assist with that.
Chris Foster Ramsay from Foster Ramsay Finance, we really appreciate your expertise this afternoon.
Thanks so much.